Good afternoon, and I'm so happy to be with you once again. In this particular video, I would try to take care of a certain concern that most researchers usually have in choosing the research method or approach that they will use. I don't want to go into the argument of which method is suitable or unsuitable. Rather, I want to just explore the types of methods available. So we have three major approaches or method. We have the quantitative, the qualitative, and the mixed method. In this presentation, you will learn the details of the three methods that is usually used. And the first one is the quantitative research. This particular approach involves quantifying things and asking questions such as how long, how many, the degree to which. So if your research question is around all of these, it is having more to do with quantitative research, and it is always relying on quantifying data and generalizing findings from a sample. Now, the analysis is based on logical method with the focus on testing a particular theory. So this research always starts with an hypothesis for testing, observes and collect data, and statistically analyze the data to draw conclusions. So numbers are critical to quantitative research. So you can see that there is an hypothesis for test. There's an hypothesis that starts a question, then there is a collection of data, there is analysis, statistical analysis of data, and drawing of conclusion. And quantitative research are divided into two types. We have the experimental design types and the non-experimental. But let me start with the experimental design types. In most of this experimental design, there is actually a treatment that is being manipulated, and oftentimes there may be a control, there may be no control. So the first three is the pre-experimental, which is simplest form, where a single group is observed after treatment or studied before and after, offers low control, and used for preliminary studies. The next one is the true experimental. It has control, there's group randomization, manipulation. You have the quasi-experimental, which represent true experiment but lacks random assignment to group, making it suitable for real-world settings. For example, most educational research and psychological research, most of research in humanities. Other experimental designs are factorial design. This one allows us to manipulate two or more independent variables simultaneously by examining their main effects and interaction effects. We also have between the subject approach, whereby different participants are assigned to experimental condition, eliminating other effects. We have within subjects. Same participants are tested under all experimental conditions. And we have the matched pairs, where we have subjects are paired in based on similar characteristics, with one assigned to treatment group and the other to the control group. Now, we have the non-experimental design. One of them is the descriptives, whereby the study is just to describe the characteristics of a population or a phenomenon without identifying causes. We have cross-sectional, compare different groups of people at a single point in time. We have case study, which is in-depth detailed examination of a single subject or event. We have correlational study, which measures statistical relationship between two or more variables without manipulating them. We have longitudinal study, whereby same subject are studied over extended period of time, and development is actual and changes are always analyzed. We have the expo factor, which investigates relationship between variables after they have occurred. This is usually used in educational setting. Comparing groups that differ on specific independent variable. So now we go to the qualitative research. Qualitative research focuses on phenomenon that occurs in natural setting, with data typically analyzed without statistics. Quanti in the other one is talking about the statistical analysis. It may be inferential, it may be descriptive, but then researchers are less structured and more open to changing research direction based on variation in setting and participant. For instance, if somebody wants to interview children of single mothers that made the first class, and they want to interrogate how their parenting actually determined what they had become, this is a particular study that is significant. Another is that the qualitative researcher always interpret and make sense of what they observe, focusing on meaning and context rather than quantification. So quantification is not the issue. So I want to say there are about 5 approaches to qualitative research. You know, the quantitative research, I said there is experimental, there is non-experimental. And under each, the first one is the phenomenology. That means seeking to understand and describe lived experience of individual, originating from Edmund Husserl and Martin Eger. It asks what a particular experience means to the individual. The next one is the grounded theory. It was developed by Glaser and Strassos 1967, and it aims to generate a theory from data rather than texting existing theory. It is built on inductive process with constant comparison. The next one in qualitative approach is the ethnography, which focuses on studying people within natural or cultural environments. For instance, if we want to study what happens in a particular African festival, you need to um, go there and see what they are doing. You need to be part of the masquerade. You need to stand there. You need to participate in what they are doing. The next one is the narrative inquiry. This one actually explores stories to gain insight into experiences, suggest people give meaning to lives through story, linking past, present, and future. You cannot document the history of a location in Africa or anywhere without ensuring this narrative inquiry. The next one is the case study. which provides in-depth exploration of single case within real-world context, examining complex phenomena holistically using multiple data sources. In that case, they will use interview, use all of those um, focus group discussion so as to understand that particular case. And finally, the third approach is the mixed method research. The mixed method research focuses on meaningful integration of both quantitative and qualitative data. So you take quantitative and qualitative data, and uh, so as to ensure that every part of the uh, study, every part related to the focus of the study is well documented, well represented. The one that quantitative can capture, the one that qualitative can capture. So combining the numerical data with rich contextual understanding, mixed method offers what I call comprehensive insight into complex research questions. So we have a lot of approaches which I will just we have the convergent parallel. That means in the convergent parallel, the researcher collects the quantitative data and qualitative data concurrently as the researcher is carrying out the, let's say the research is about uh, effect of a particular drug. When they are administering the drug and they want to seek opinion of people about the drug using a an interview or focus group discussion, they will be collected at the same time and they will analyze it separately, and afterwards they will now combine the results. We have the explanatory sequential. In that case, what happens is that the quantitative data is collected and analyzed first. It is after the analysis of the quantitative data that the researcher will now begin to collect the qualitative data to explain the results. Now, we must get this clearly. When I give an instrument, maybe a test question, and maybe I told students to work a mathematics question, and I want to study their errors in that mathematics question. Or at the same time, I want to see what their average mean score. In that particular instrument, I'm using it to collect the quantitative data and the qualitative data. So the point is that I am not actually going back. So I can't call that explanatory sequential. What happens is that in explanatory sequential, the quantitative data is collected and analyzed first. Based on what is observed in the quantitative data, the qualitative will now follow. The next one is exploratory sequential. So in this case, the qualitative data is collected first to explore the phenomenon, followed by a quantitative data to test findings. There is no instrument development that does not involve this exploratory sequential approach, because some interviews, some focus group discussion informs the final instrument that is developed quantitatively and finally used to collect the data. So we have another one which is called embedded design of mixed method, whereby one type of data plays a supportive second role within the larger primary design, often used in experimental context. in research. We also have multi-phase transformative mixed research, whereby it's complex, long-time study integrating multiple phases of qualitative and quantitative. A lot of them will be done. So in the subsequent video, I'm going to be taking qualitative separately, and I will be explaining what it is and what is going to take from us to utilize them for the purpose of our research. I'll be so glad to hear from you. Thank you for supporting my channel.